Joining me now, two people who have a pretty good sense. Michael McFaul, the former U.S. ambassador to Russia and NBC News international analyst, and Garry Kasparov, the chairman of the Renewed Democracy Initiative, a longtime critic of this current Russian regime. Mike, let me start with you and and China and Russia and this alliance. Obviously, we're concerned about it. How seriously do you take China's threat, I guess, to provide lethal aid to Russia?
Well, they haven't threatened that, Chuck. That's a very interesting thing. They say they're not doing that, and they've stayed to that. And up until just this weekend, I've been impressed by what they haven't done, right? Mm-hmm. They haven't provided these technologies. They haven't provided military assistance. And when Xi Jinping sat down with Putin the last time they met in Samarkand, Putin went out of his way to say, yeah, Taiwan is yours. Yes, yes, yes. That's your territorial integrity, sovereignty. And Xi did not return the favor in the way that he talked about it. However, when the vice president at the Munich Security Conference, Garry and I were both there, by the way, when she went out of her way to put that marker down, mm-hmm. and then Blinken did it the day after, that suggests to me that they're seeing something in the intelligence, mm-hmm. that something's happening that they're trying to hide, and they chose to try to embarrass the Chinese about it. I don't know what it is, but you don't put things like that in the vice president's speech unless you have hard evidence to suggest that they're about to do this.
Well, it's interesting you put it that way, Mike, because that's what it looked like to me. It was sort of like, I don't know whether how true it is or not, make them deny it. It seemed that they wanted to put the pressure on the Chinese.
Absolutely. That's what they're doing. Bad time for Wang Yi to show up in Moscow, by the way, if you're trying to say you're on the sidelines here. That I don't know if that timing was planned. But I want to be clear. We don't really know what the U.S. government knows about military assistance. And so far, Beijing has not publicly said that they're doing it, right? My guess is they were trying to do it quietly, and we found out, and now we've called their bluff. We've called them on it, right. And they're trying to decide what to do now.
Garry, we're a year into this war, and I know you certainly thought that Putin couldn't, that his eyes were bigger than his stomach, but here we are a year in. What does the West need to do to get what Joe Biden calls a strategic defeat for Russia? And then I want to ask you about that phrase after that. But what is it going to take to actually get to that goal?
Weapons to Ukraine. More weapons to Ukraine for Ukrainians to win the war. This strategic defeat of Russia, it's Ukrainian victory that will include full liberation of Ukrainian territory, compensation, reparations, mm-hmm. and also international tribunal for war crimes and genocide. Whether President Biden meant that, I am not sure, but it's very clear to me that as long as Putin is in control, the war will not stop.
Do you believe the West is speaking with clear enough objectives?
It's getting better, but we are not yet there. Mm-hmm. So it was quite a long road from Ukraine shouldn't lose, Russia shouldn't win, to almost saying Ukraine must win. Though it's not exactly must. It's more like, you should win. So President Biden's trip to Kyiv was a big milestone. Yeah. It's an amazing move, very bold move for U.S. President to land in Kyiv, and combining this historic trip with his speech in Warsaw, I think it's a clear message that America is almost ready to go as far as it takes for Ukraine to win. And I think Putin also understands it because his speech was so weak and pathetic. Mm-hmm. And that's why I wouldn't even worry too much about the Chinese moves now behind the scene, because I believe China cares about Taiwan. What I think they're trying to do is just send message to America. You mentioned opportunity. Yeah. That's probably, let's make a deal. We care about Taiwan, you care about Ukraine. So we don't care very much about Putin because they always saw Putin as a junior partner in these relations, right. A subordinate to China. So that's why, again, all this big noise, I think it's about Chinese trying to get a better bargaining position with America and Europe.
Mike, I want to go back to President Biden's trip to Kyiv because I think, I don't know why, but it isn't registering here in America his support. He's having a hard time selling this politically, and he really hasn't. It's not, American lives haven't been lost. This is one of those things where you normally would think, boy, he's conducting this the way the American public has said they want our foreign expeditions conducted. And he's getting not only zero credit, in some ways it's a net negative.
Yeah, it's striking, Chuck. It's disappointing to me because I think he has played it in a very precise way to give the Ukrainians support, but not have our soldiers there. I'm with Gary, by the way. I think if you want victory, we have to do more. We're not giving them the weapons they need for this counteroffensive that they're planning in the spring. And I think time's going to run out. Politically, time is going to run out. I'll try to talk over that music.
No, I think it's the music from Biden.
Oh, that's Biden.
Yeah, that's Biden's music. You're all right.
That was odd.
It's just the nat sound. I know. Well, that was his walkout music. I know. It was odd at the time.
It's kind of odd. But I think it's striking to me that they don't see the essence of time in the same way I do. And I see it on military on the ground, but also for Biden's own reelection prospects. Now is the time for breakthrough. Because if there's not a breakthrough, Chuck, you're the political expert here in America, not me. But if this is just grinding on as we roll into the presidential election next year, that's not a good look for Biden.
No, there's not going to be domestic political support for this if we're in a third year of a stalemate. Gary, I'm curious about something that the New York Times did a piece over the weekend that indicated that, believe it or not, 1 year in, it looks like Putin is more popular or has more of a stranglehold on the population. Do you concur with that?
Nobody knows because the polls in Russia, they are conducted, by the traditional methods, but people are not responding. I can bet you that 9 out of 10 of those being asked simply don't answer the question. On the surface, yes, he looks very popular. Okay, Hitler was very popular in 1944 in Germany, so who cares? I don't think we should apply the same methods, the same measures that are being used to understand the level of support. You just put on the screen, 41% of Americans approve President Biden handling the war in Ukraine. I don't think that we can use the same metrics in Russia or in any dictatorship. So what we know is that Putin controls this information bubble. And unfortunately, what Russian public sees, it's that Russia is not losing. No matter what American generals or European politicians are saying, Russia hasn't lost the war because people don't believe they're losing the war. That's why we need Ukrainian success. The moment Ukrainians penetrate in Crimean Peninsula, the moment Russian public understands the war is being lost, then you will see Putin's house of cards crumbling.
What you're saying is Crimea is it's funny, Crimea is considered Putin's red line. You think Crimea is the public's red line?
It's both, actually. Yeah. It's Putin's red line for a simple reason. Crimea is a staple of Putin mythology. Dictatorship like Putin's do not survive when this mythology is being blown away. And Ukrainian liberation of Crimea will be the end of Putin regime.
Michael McFaul, Garry Kasparov. I always am smarter about these topics when I have the two of you on. Thank you both for your perspective.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.